Check 1, 2. Yes, there we go. So sound is coming, people, in a moment. I'm kicking stuff as I'm doing this. But yes, you will hear me talking in just a moment. Sound will work in 1 second. I guarantee you. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Yes, there we go. So yes, testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. How's everybody doing? We are live here for an English Q&A live stream. You will notice that I am not outside, and I'm sorry about that. But if you see on the webcam there, the weather is not as nice as you would like it to be, or as I would like it to be. We are currently, I'll read you the weather report and you'll understand why we're not outside. 30 degrees Celsius, 40% chance of showers, a mix of sun and cloud, risk of a thunderstorm this morning, high of 30, humidex 38, so it will feel like 38. And mainly cloudy, 40% of showers early this evening as well. So we're inside. Sorry about that. I will have the outdoor display available so you can see what is happening in real time. But yes, we are going to be inside for this English lesson today. Let me just click some things here. Let me just see. I think everyone is here and ready to learn. Looks like Nightbot is working. Daniel's here. Pavel is here. No, that is here. Mr. Fischeri is here. Good to see some familiar faces. If you're wondering, how does this work? This is a live English lesson, a Q&A lesson, questions and answers. You ask the questions. I try my best to give good answers. Hopefully you have a few questions. If you do, please put the questions in the form. So I do see Hassan asking a question in the chat. Please put the question in the form. There's a link in the description below. There's also a link posted in the chat, and I will slowly go through that form. Currently, there's 6 questions in there, and I will answer those questions as we go through it. Hello to Alexander and Ario and Ahmed and Pankaj and Hassan and Solwen and Determination. Solwen says, I don't know why I feel so lazy listening in English. Sometimes I can understand the video that I get bored, and when I face off a difficult video to understand, I get lazy. That can happen. That is definitely something that does happen to people, where if it's too hard, you lose motivation, but if it's too easy, you don't actually do the work to listen to it. No, that says at least there isn't much wind today. So what I will show you, know that, is that if you look in the distance, so you see where Jen's gator is, to the right of that, way in the distance on the silo, is a small white circle. That is the other end of my internet connection. So I have a line of sight internet connection, and then the leaves on the ground around the tree are because yesterday I chopped some leaves off because when it rained, the branches came down and blocked my connection to my antenna on the silo. So that's why there's leaves. It's not from a windstorm, but you are correct in that it is, sorry, I just kicked the tripod holding the camera there, if you're wondering what the shake is. There is no wind today, which is nice. So it would have been a nice day to be outside, but unfortunately, if you can see, the sky is gray. It was spitting earlier this morning as well. And the other problem right now is, like yesterday after my live stream, I had to go see my son who lives in Hamilton. And when I left, it was sunny and we weren't expecting more rain. And I actually ended up pulling over halfway there because it was raining so hard. I couldn't see to drive. So, hey, let's get to the question form. Here we go. Let's get to the questions from the forum. From Judith. Hi, Bob. Have you seen the fireworks of the 4th of July in Juneau, Alaska? Is it worth it to see them? Thanks. I don't know. I have never been to Alaska. I would like to go to Alaska someday. I'm sure if I went to Alaska, they probably have great fireworks on the 4th of July. By the way, today is July 4th. In Canada, we celebrate Canada Day on July 1st. in the United States, they celebrate July 4th on July 4th. Is it Independence Day? I'm not American, so I don't know. But they are currently celebrating. I'm sure there will be fireworks in most US cities tonight. They'll have an enjoyable time celebrating the 4th of July. From Know That, hello, Bob. What were you looking forward to most about your break? Sleeping in, being able to do more work on the farm, the more relaxed approach to the day, or something else? Thanks. So for those of you that don't know, I am a high school teacher by day, YouTuber by night. Sounds like I'm a superhero. And it is currently summer here in Ontario, Canada. So I don't need to go to work every day. I actually have all of July and most of August off. I don't have to go to work. So Know That is asking, what are you most looking forward to? And I would say the more relaxed approach to the day. During the school year, I often have 10 or 20 or 30 things I need to do every day. And now I have 1 or 2 things I need to do every day. If it doesn't rain today, I need to mow some lawn and I need to clean up these leaves. That's something that I do need to do today. Sorry, I keep kicking the tripod of that camera, but at least we know the camera's working then. So that's what I would say I'm most looking forward to. And in the chat, Know That says, I'm sure there will be plenty of other opportunities during your summer break to do a live stream outside. I hope so. That would be very, very nice. And Freddie, Bob, is already raining outside. I can't see it. Oh, I already dealt with that one. So if you're wondering why I do respond to some people in the chat, if there are members in the chat asking questions, I do look at those. But if you have a question, please use the form to ask that question. Let me see here. From Takagero, almost every day with Bob this week. Happy Independence Day to all Americans in here. Could you please explain when I should use in here and when just here? So when you are inside of something, like if I get in my car on a hot day, I would say it's really hot in here. I probably wouldn't use here. I want people to know I'm talking about the interior of the car. This room, it's beautiful in here. It's like 23 degrees or 24 degrees Celsius. It's beautiful in here. The temperature is beautiful in here. So I think when you are physically inside of something like a building or a room or a car, you would use in here. If I said to you, it's hot here, you don't know if I'm talking about outside or this room. And you would most likely think I'm talking about the outdoors, even though I'm inside. So in here for places and rooms, that's what I would say. Judith. Hi, Bob. How are the ducks? Have you ever caught and pet? Little fix there, P-E-T, and pet one. Thanks. I have not caught them. I know that Jen and my daughter caught them and put them away yesterday before the storm hit. I'm not someone who enjoys picking up chickens and ducks and those kinds of animals. I don't mind cats and dogs, but chickens and ducks, I find them kind of strange. And I'm not someone who would like run outside and pick up a duck and pet it. It's not my style. That's what we would say in English. So no, I have not done that at all. Let's see here. Geta Helena, you mentioned some time ago GO Train. Speaking about Toronto, little fixer. Could you please tell us more about it? I've never heard about it, though I prefer public transport to current. Okay, so in Canada, in Ontario, Canada, in Toronto and around Toronto, we have something called the GO Train. When I go to Toronto, if I drive my car all the way to Toronto, I will most likely get in a traffic jam, and it will be very expensive for me to park my car somewhere in Toronto. I'll have to pay for it. So instead, for $10, I can take the GO Train. I drive to the closest GO Train station, and the GO Train is just a really big passenger train, but more for commuters and for daily travel. It's not a train you would take to go to another city or another province. So we get a ticket for the GO Train. It's a $10 pass, and I can ride the train all day for 24 hours. So for basically $5 each way, $10 total, I can take the GO Train from Burlington, Ontario, which is about 40 minutes from my house. And I can just, in the comfort of the train, enjoy having a conversation with Jen or my kids until we get to Toronto. So I think GO is short for Government of Ontario. I don't know that for sure, but we call it the GO train. It's a big train. It's a green and white train. It usually has 12 passenger cars. Um, and yeah, it's very reasonable. If I drove, I would spend $10 or $20 in gas and $20 or $30 in parking, and I would have all the stress of parking. No, that says your outdoor camera is definitely working. There was a bird flying by earlier, if I saw it correctly, probably. It's just so calm out there right now. It's a little bit, strange, but I think it is still moving. Mode says, hello. Time got away on me, but I'm finally here. Well, hello, Mode. 3 live streams this week. We're really in for a treat. Yeah, it's kind of like the 4th one in 8 days, if you're counting that way. I know that says, I think a spider web is hanging somewhere in front of the lens. I think so too. When I kick the camera, you can see that there is a spider web or something in front of the lens there. So, okay, let me get another question on the screen. This is from Majid. Hello, or hi, dear Bob. I'm from Iran and I followed you from 2020 or since 2020. Could you explain CELT? I don't know what those are. I will look them up. They are not something familiar to me. They're globally recognized English teaching qualifications awarded by Cambridge. Okay. CELTA is an introductory hands-on certificate for beginners. Delta is an advanced diploma for experienced teachers looking to move into academic management. Okay, so basically they are teaching qualifications, and it sounds like for the teaching of English. Interesting. I had no idea. I am, as someone who speaks English, I don't always have a complete knowledge of how the rest of the English world works. So that was new to me today. So thank you. Majid, I will research those a little bit later as well. Next question. Here we go from Andriano. Is there a big difference between Canadian English accents depending on which part of the country people are from? Not really. So most Canadians sound similar to me. I think if you're from the West Coast, someone very skilled at accents might be able to tell if you're from British Columbia, but I really can't. I have a brother-in-law who originally came from British Columbia. He sounds just like me. If you are from the province of Newfoundland, or if you're from the East Coast, though, you might have an East Coast accent, which is a very subtle accent to some people. Some people think it's pretty strong. And then, of course, if you're from Quebec, you most likely speak French instead of English. Mode says, I know that. The chat is surprisingly quiet today for some reason. I think maybe I've outdone the live stream. We've done too many live streams this week. So that's possibly what's happening there. People are just feeling a little more laid back and relaxed. Although the questions are coming in. I regularly have 8 questions remaining as I answer each question. Okay, from Hassan. I don't know any English and I'm using a translator. If I watch your videos and use Duolingo every day, do you think I can learn English? To a certain degree. So sometimes people will ask, is Duolingo the best app? Or some people will say, if I just watch YouTube videos, will I learn English? And the reality is, you have to create something much more complex than that. I think Duolingo is great. I think watching YouTube videos to learn English is great as well, but you are missing out on a few things. I would say you need to do some long reading. You should be reading short stories or at least long news articles. You should be participating in some kind of rigorous reading program. You should be doing probably a little bit more listening than just YouTube videos. Although if you were watching an English vlogger and an English teacher, someone teaching the English language, and maybe some English clips from TV shows, that would be great. But certainly you should be doing reading, you should be doing writing, and then and listening. And here's the big one. You need to figure out how to do more writing. Duolingo will help you practice writing like a little bit, but it's all these quick little answers, right? And you need to practice your speaking. So I would say those are the two things you need to figure out how to do so that you have a well-rounded study plan. From Adila. Hi, Bob. My English writing is not bad, but speaking is terrible. And sometimes listening, little fix there, to native speakers who speak faster is difficult for me to understand. So a few things to do there. Number one, if your writing is going well, that can lead to you speaking really well. So even though your writing is good and your speaking is bad, writing is a great step to speaking better. So I would start to write little scenarios, write little dialogues between two people, and then practice them with yourself, because the act of writing is creating English sentences. The act of speaking is just a faster thought process. So do more writing and try to make it more related to speaking. Native speakers who speak too fast. If you have control of the speed, I would slow it down. Like if you're watching a video. If you're in person, I would simply ask the person, hey, can you speak a little more slowly? Because I'm still having trouble understanding full speed English. And most people don't mind doing that at all. And there's a lot of exposure. Okay. Mode in the chat says, give this video a thumbs up so it reaches more people. Thanks, Mode. What are we at? 150 viewers? Yes, gone long. I actually was trying to figure out if YouTube changed how it promotes live streams a year ago, or if people are just getting a little more bored of me. Because I used to, on a Saturday, I would pull in 300 or 400 viewers, maybe 500. On a Friday live stream, I would pull in 300 or 400 viewers. Now I get about 200, maybe 250. So I wonder if YouTube, I know they changed, like if you clicked on a live stream and watched it for 10 seconds, it counted as a viewer. And I think they changed it where you have to watch for like a minute or two before it counts it. So that might have been what happened. But other than that, I would teach to 5 people if there was only 5. When I'm in the flow, the number doesn't matter to me. But if you're one of the 157 people watching, thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. Next question. Tutor Daniel. Why is it important to treat people with respect regardless of their race, nationality, religion, or background? I think it's just common sense. It's nice to be nice to people. Like, we're human beings. All of us have to get through our day from start to end, and we all need to do some work, and we all need to earn a living, and we all need to enjoy life a little bit. So I don't know why some people want to make someone else's life difficult because they're different. So my view is you should be kind to everyone, regardless of race, nationality, religion, or background. Okay. I think that most people in the world actually feel that way. I think in the news, they like to amplify and report on people who don't feel that way. Because I guess it just makes, in some ways, more people will watch the news then, right? If it's more controversial. Sorry, questions outside. Running Tiger, good morning, Bob. How much watt is your solar panel and how much capacity of your power bank? So I have 8 200-watt panels, so 1,600 watts. On a good day, it has only maxed out at about 800 or 900 watts. But again, the panels are mounted vertically. And during the summer, I will be changing the angle so that they face the sun better. Currently, I have 6 12-volt, 100 amp hour batteries. So I think I have about 7,000 watt hours of battery storage. I have enough battery to run this entire room for about 24 hours. That's about how much I have. And I don't plan to build anything bigger. If you start to build things too big, you need permits and everything. I'm still building something that's just temporary for battery backup and those kinds of things, just in case an inspector is watching. Lily, hi Bob, glad to see you again. My English level is finally B1, and now I want to improve it even more. Do you have any tips for helping me improve my English? So as someone who learned the French language, Here was my journey. I did a lot of studying and work to be able to get my B1. When I did my B1 test, the part I didn't do well on was the English conversation part. So listening and speaking with a person. And so when I went from the B1, 12 months later, I took the B2 test. The thing I focused on the most was meeting weekly with a speaking partner to help improve my language ability. I would say that if you're at B1, you can get to B1 through self-study. I think it's challenging to get to B2 without some kind of tutor or person to help you. So that's what I would highly recommend that you do. So that's what I would recommend to Lily. Alexander, dear Bob, thank you so much for your work. You're welcome. How much is the parking cost in Toronto? Is it difficult to find a free spot? Is free parking for disabled people available? I don't know if free parking for disabled people is available, and I'm not 100% sure of the cost of parking in Toronto. I do know when we were there this past week, there was a sign that said max daily parking rate $28. That was close to the Rogers Center. But I think it's sometimes pricier than that. I think it's probably, I was in Hamilton yesterday and pricing was $20 for the day. So I imagine Toronto is more expensive than that. From the French Fred, CPCA. Bob, instead of I've already eaten, could I say I already ate in a US Canadian way? Un grand merci par avance. Yes, you could say both. Do you want a sandwich? Oh, I've already eaten. Do you want a sandwich? I already ate. Both are totally common. You will hear them all the time. They are something, they are used in everyday speech. And I don't know which people would use more. I think it's probably 50-50. Hey, Bob, do you want to go out for lunch today? Hey, I've already eaten. I already ate. So no. So yes, they both to me are equal and both well used. Bridget says, hello, Bob. Hello, everyone. A little bit late. Hi, Bridget. Good to see you. It's good to have familiar faces and members showing up. Again, if you are one of the 159 people watching, don't forget to click the subscribe button over there and consider becoming a member as well, if that is something that you are interested in. Camera's working because I think a little butterfly just flew by. Trying to figure out what's leaning against the tree. Did I leave my pruners outside yesterday after I trimmed some branches off? I think so. Okay, let me find another question here. Just a reminder, if you do have questions, you can use this link to ask it. I will put the link in the chat for all of you. Click that and use that to ask it. Please, if you can avoid asking questions in the chat, that would be great. Although someone said to me, your live lessons would be more popular if more people participated in the chat, but then the more people that participate, the harder it is for me to see the questions. It's kind of tricky. Hello, Gaeta, Helena, and Lily says, Bridget, Mode says $28 a day for parking is a bit much. Yes, that is why we take the GO train. Although when I was explaining the GO train earlier, it is $10 per person. So if you're going with 6 people in a vehicle, parking might end up being cheaper than the GO train. Like it's tricky to figure out sometimes, isn't it? Okay, let me get another question on the screen. Here we go. From Wisquen. How can I improve my pronunciation? So one of the tricky things about English, especially in our modern world, and with some of the advice that some teachers give, is you can very easily spend a lot of time listening and possibly reading English. You might be encouraged to consume a lot of English to help you become fluent in English. So people might say, read a lot of books, read the news, watch TV, listen to music. All of those things are great. But in my opinion, in order to improve your speaking and your pronunciation, you need to start actually having conversations with people. The whole point of language is to communicate. And if that communication is only one direction, it's coming from the computer into your ears, it's coming from the screen you're reading with your eyes, you are not practicing creating sentences. So in order to practice pronunciation, you need to have more conversations. You in particular should have conversations sometimes with someone who will help you improve your pronunciation, someone who will correct you and allow you to hear what you're doing wrong. If you can't find a person, you can do other things. You can record your own voice and play it back. And hopefully you can compare it to someone saying the same sentences with no accent. That is one way. You can use your own ear to figure that out. Let's see here. No, that says, do berries grow on the bush outside on the left? It looks like that on the camera, and a bird keeps flying over to it every now and then. I don't think so, but I think there are flowers. I think it's a clematis. Oh, yeah, those are flowers. The bush on the left, that is a clematis. It's a climbing vine. So you might be seeing a hummingbird possibly, or something like that. Mr. Fisher, wonder if you know about the Toronto Scary Escalator at Empress Walk in North York. I do not know about that. I thought you were going to talk about the Skywalk on the CN Tower. Oh, Ario's here too. Good to see Ario. Bridget, Bob, are you going to watch the Canadian team playing against Morocco? Yes, I'm watching that today for sure. Okay, let me get a sip of water here. Let me get another question on the screen and have a sip of water from Alexander. Dear Bob, speaking about an accent, would you agree with another Canadian YouTube teacher, Adrian, that his West Coast English is absolutely the same with West Coast of the USA? I think if you live in British Columbia, or if you live in Oregon or Washington, you probably sound very similar. I find that living in Ontario, when I visit Brent in Maine, we actually sound very similar. We live 11 hours apart, but I think sound very, very similar. I think there's sometimes a worry that if you're learning Canadian English, that you will sound funny if you talk to an American, and 9 times out of 10, they won't even realize that you learned English from a Canadian. It's too similar. Like obviously Australian English sounds a lot different. British English sounds a lot different, but American and Canadian English are very, very closely related. From Fred the Frenchie, Bib. Have you warmed up yet for the showdown against Morocco in 3 hours? I'm keeping my fingers crossed that your team qualifies. I have high hopes. In English, when you have high hopes, it means you are thinking positive thoughts about something in the future. I have high hopes. I really hope that the Canadian men's team can do well later today. We'll see, though. I mean, the competition is getting tough and fierce for sure. Let's see. Know that. Oh, you have hummingbirds where you live. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, we have hummingbirds, woodpeckers. I think we have all kinds of different birds for sure. Brent says we all have accents. Yes. Even families can speak a certain way. Like I've noticed that as a teacher, like we call it a turn of phrase, like a certain way of saying something or interacting. You'll notice that even siblings in a family might have their own little quirks to the language. So we'll see. Okay. Henry from Taiwan. Hi, Teacher Bob. Can you please pronounce the word turpitude and how the word is used? Thanks a lot. Well, I can say it, but I can't tell you what it means. Very rare word. Refers to a corrupt, depraved, or inherently wicked act of a character. So let me see if I can get an example sentence. Oh, moral turpitude. Now, I have heard that phrase for sure in a sentence. But you're using a word there. The corrupt official was removed from office after being convicted of acts involving moral turpitude. She felt deeply depressed by the sheer turpitude of modern society. I think I'm saying it right, but I will say again, not a common word in Bob the Canadian's daily English life. Okay, and I am a university educated person in my mid-50s who has many conversations, some of them very academic, and that word is not, in my opinion, not very common. You might read it or hear it in the news from time to time. So, from Christian, I am a disabled person, Bob, and no offense here. Do you know how to teach English to people with disabilities? I have no formal training in teaching students who have disabilities. I do from time to time get teaching or instruction on how to teach students who have learning challenges in the classroom. So I would say my response to that is I am not a certified specialist in teaching people with disabilities. I am a certified teacher in Ontario, Canada, and part of that is that I need regular training on how to identify, help, and teach students who have learning challenges, okay? I also am required to know how to adjust my teaching when given clear instructions if I have a student with a disability in my classroom. So if I have a student with a disability, someone much smarter and wiser than me will tell me exactly how to accommodate having that person in the classroom so they feel welcome and so they can absorb the material, they can learn from me and feel like they are getting the same level of teaching as my other students. So, but yes, do I, like off the top of my head, no. Do I have amazing people at my school that help me be a better teacher in those situations? Definitely. I'd be curious to hear Brent's response to that question as well, because I think he's in a similar situation. So schools in Canada and in the United States, there are teachers, but then there's also support staff and administration and guidance resources and counseling. Like there's all kinds of other people helping teachers behind the scenes do a better job. Brent says, I always say, if I haven't heard it in my 50 years of English, you probably don't need to know it. I would agree for sure. Mode says, if Bob the Canadian had to look it up, chances are you don't need to learn that word. You will see that word, I think, every once in a while. Let's see here. Just going to scroll down in the chat. Brent says, Bob the Canadian is a school administrator's dream. Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm not sure if you were to ask all of my former administrators if I was always a dream employee. From Judith. Hi, Bob. Have you ever thought of building a new house for yourself? Little fix there at the end. The answer is no. We have a house that was built in 1982. In Canada, in the early 80s, they changed the standards for how houses were built so that they were better insulated, cheaper to heat, cheaper to keep cool. And our house fell into that category. It was built with what are still modern standards, 50 years later or whatever it is, 55 years later. So I would just say no, but we have thought about renovating our house, living in one half while we gut the other half. That means take all of the inside panels off the wall, put in new insulation, etc. Brent says, I just do a special ed referral and follow the IEP. Yes. So that is what I would do as well. We have people and departments and paperwork that helps us stay on track. Let's see. I need to turn on members only chat, although I do try to talk to members regularly when I'm doing one of these types of live streams. But if you are a member, you can ask questions directly in the chat right now. And if you're wondering what an IEP is, I believe it's an individualized education plan. What is an we use the same word or acronym, an individual education plan. Yes. I just have called it an IEP for so long. I kind of forgot what it actually was. Okay. Leaves are still moving. I'll answer Long Jiang's question. Why is it that I understand everything people say, but when I try to answer, I freeze up and can't get a single word out? So I always equate this, Long. It's the same reason why when you go and watch a play, it's very easy to sit in the audience, but very few people want to be the actor on the stage. When you are having a conversation, When the other person is speaking, you are playing the role of the spectator in this analogy. You are the person who is just comfortably allowing words to come to you and understand them. But the minute you need to speak, you now are performing. So it becomes something where you might be nervous, you might be stressed. It might be hard for you to think in that situation. But when you're just listening, it's very, very easy. So there are a lot of elements that come into play when you must speak English in a conversation. One way to make it go better is to practice with someone who's an expert at teaching you how to have good English conversations. So, oh, and there's a link to Preply below. I should mention that. From Know That, hey, Bob, what are you up to today or tomorrow? Do you have anything special planned? Thanks a lot, Bob. Today, I'm watching the soccer game. I might watch the baseball game later, the Blue Jays game, but I can't sit and watch sports all day. That would be crazy. I need to edit yesterday's video. So yesterday we did a lesson on phrases within the. So I'm going to be doing that today. I'm going to see a friend on Sunday, stop in for an hour, or tomorrow. I said Sunday. I think that's it. It's a fairly relaxing weekend, not anything crazy happening. Jen got up early this morning to work on the farm so that she can watch the game. Mode says that was too much talking shop, you guys. Yes. We were using all of the inside language. Mr. Fishery, you can tell Bob's shirt is untucked. Haha. Is it though? It's, there we go. It's a Saturday. So yes, it might be. From Know That, Bob, what actually happened to the small blue house where your son was living temporarily? The one that once stood next to the shed, if you don't mind me asking. That was a tiny house. A tiny house is a house built on a trailer. And so they sold it. So my son actually was living in there and then eventually moved to an apartment. And him and his wife sold the tiny house. So for those, I don't talk a lot about my family, but my oldest son, after he got married, his wife and him lived in a tiny house on our property for about half a year. And then they decided to move into an actual apartment. So they sold it. Someone came with a truck and drove it away. Bridget, it's a long soccer day. First Canada plays and later on France. Yes, a very long day. Mr. Fishery, also someone sent 10 gift memberships before the lesson started. Oh, did I thank the person for doing that? I think I did, but that was from Marco. Thank you so much, Marco, for buying those 10 memberships. That is awesome. I appreciate it very, very much. Know That. How was your Friday? I hope there weren't any more of those heavy rain showers and that you didn't nearly drown a second or third time. Actually, there were 2 more. So I left in the morning to go see my son who lives in an apartment in Hamilton. And on my way there, it rained so hard out of the blue, like I wasn't expecting it, that I had to pull over to the side of the road and wait out the storm. And then it just ended. It started. I saw this white wall of rain coming towards me, and then it hit, pulled the van over, waited about 3 minutes, and then it was sunny again. So yes, it's kind of weird weather. So Know That. By the way, how was the marathon on Tuesday? I think it was on Tuesday. Was your family members satisfied with their result? So not a marathon, but it was a 5K and a 10K. And I actually had one kid run in each race. I don't think anyone at the race was satisfied with their results because the race was in the evening, but it was still 31 degrees. And I think everyone's time was nowhere near as good as it normally is. So yes, that was Tuesday night. They went for a 10K, a 5K run, and a 10K run. Pedro says, hello, Bob. I was late today. No problem. We'll be here for a while. Let me just see what's happening outside. No rain yet. I probably could have done the live stream outside, but if, some of you saw the live action weather report yesterday. If that happened while I was outside, I would be in trouble. From Mohammed, hello, Bob. I can understand you 90%, but after maybe 10 to 50 minutes, I feel like I am lost. Any advice? Thanks. So, you know how when you're Okay, if you are not a long distance runner and you go outside right now, you can probably run for 100, 200 meters, 300 meters, maybe 400 meters, and then you're exhausted. But if you go for a little run every day, you get better at running, and eventually you can run 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. I think the same is true for learning. When you are doing things with your brain, it is very similar to doing things with your muscles. You need to train your brain. If I sit and play a computer game, when I first buy the game, I only last about 15 or 20 minutes if the game is really challenging. But after a while, I can play it for longer. I think if you are having trouble after 10 or 15 minutes, you need to just keep training, keep listening to English, and keep pushing yourself until you can sit and listen for a full hour. That's what I would say. Let me see here. No, that says, speaking of the run, do you know how many athletes participated in that run? Were there a lot of spectators? I'm not sure, but there were a lot of people there. I'm guessing there was 200 or 300 people in each race. Like, it's a pretty popular yearly run in the city of Grimsby. Running Tiger says, I have a question about your freshwater and wastewater system. Are they connected with the municipal water system? No. So my freshwater system, we have what's called a cistern under our garage. All of the rain from our roof goes into a large tank under our garage, and we use that water for flushing the toilets, for the showers, for the sinks, for washing up. We usually treat the water with chlorine to keep it relatively clean, and it's filtered. We don't drink that water, though. There is a place in our local town where we can fill up water jugs, and we get treated drinking water. Our wastewater, when water goes down the drain or down the toilet, goes to a different tank on the other side of the house, quite a ways from the house, called a septic tank. And in the septic tank, all of the waste breaks down, and eventually it goes out underneath our lawn, like right above my head is the septic bed. So that water goes out under the ground into the lawn, and it makes the grass grow. So it's a pretty common system, a septic system, if you live in the country. No, that says, Bob, could you explain the meaning of the expression to roll with something and give some examples of its usage? A heartfelt thank you. If right now I couldn't switch the display anymore, like you have a little picture of me in the corner and a big picture, and if I click the button and I would just roll with it. We would just do this for the rest of the live stream. When you roll with something, it's when you just continue doing something in spite of maybe some minor problems. Okay. If I was driving along and the window of my car broke, I might just roll with it. I might just drive with a broken window for a while. That's probably a bad example because I don't think I would do that. But it's usually when doing something and you have minor problems and you keep doing something in spite of those minor problems, you just roll with it. Pedro says, looks like the wind has died down today. Yes, just a little bit of motion in the trees, but kind of a looming gray sky out there. A little worried about that. Tudor Daniel says, I should probably turn off members only chat. Let me do that for a sec. I know it was a bit short, but again, when I do this type of live lesson, I usually answer member only questions on the go or on the fly as well. From Tudor Daniel, is it helpful to use American, British, or Canadian idioms and slang when communicating with others? And how can they improve or affect our conversation? So number one, you need to learn idioms so that you understand idioms when other people use them. You don't necessarily need to use those idioms. You can usually, especially in the beginning stages of conversation, explain things without idioms. If I said, hold your horses, it means to wait. You could simply tell me, please wait. Okay. But you do need to learn them so that you understand what people are saying. Okay. Like if someone says, come on, get a move on, it means hurry up. And you need to know that, but you don't necessarily need to use it. So that's step number one. Number two, it can improve your communication in the sense that you will sound more natural. But there is a danger of using idioms in the wrong way, and then you sound very unnatural. So if you're going to start using idioms, make sure you fully understand them. Make sure you've heard lots of examples and read lots of examples of English speakers using them so that you use them correctly when you use them. Know that says, thanks for your explanation for answering my questions, Bob. No problem. Fred is still writing, Bob, what are the correct translations for les huitièmes de finale, les sixièmes de finale? Thanks. I would say, like, are you saying semifinals, quarterfinals, round of 16? I think that's what you're saying. I actually don't know. This is a good question. Let me just check what the internet says so that I make sure I'm on the right track. Yeah. So when you have a tournament, so in English, when you have a tournament, you have round robin where everyone plays each other, which in FIFA was called the group stage. And then you have the elimination stages. So round of 32, round of 16. When you get to round of 8, round of 4, and the finals, we sometimes say semifinals, quarterfinals, and finals. So in the semifinals, there would be 8 teams. In the quarterfinals, there would be 4 teams. And then in the finals, there would be 2 teams. I think I got that right. If I got that wrong, just look it up, see what ChatGPT tells you. So, but yeah, we would probably just say round of 8, round of 16, or semifinals. And if there were 4 teams, we would say quarterfinals. Ismail, hello, Bob. Hope you're doing well. My country's internet was down for months, so I'm really out of the loop. Why doesn't your website... Oh, just let me see if I can find the rest of this question. Show up when I search. Wait, I missed it. Is it still active? Or did I miss something? Thanks. So I made a decision earlier this year to do 2 things. Number 1, I closed my online shop. So my online shop sold worksheets and other support material for teachers to use with my videos. What I noticed happened is that, and I actually asked some people and got feedback, is instead of paying a couple of dollars for worksheets and support materials for my lessons, people have started to use AI to create resources for my lessons. The reason I know that is because I asked a few people. I just sent emails and said, hey, you know, I used to buy worksheets and I noticed that you haven't lately. Is there anything I can do? And they just said, well, it's really common now just to say to AI, hey, can you make a worksheet for this Bob the Canadian lesson? And then AI will do it. So I was paying $70 a month to run the store and I was making $80 a month. So I closed it down. And then I also shut down my app because the app was becoming, they kept increasing the hosting fee every month. And so I just decided there were very few people using it, about 6 regular users a month out of 1,500 people that signed up. So and I wasn't updating it either. So I closed both of them down. Mode says quarterfinal has 8 teams, 4 games, and semifinal has 4 teams, 2 games. It's about the number of games in the round, not the number of teams. Ah, yes. There you go. Read that. Don't listen to what I said. Running Tiger says the longest run I had accomplished was 100 kilometers with a 6,000 meter ascent and descent with my wife. That is amazing. That's like an endurance and a half. Holy cow. Okay. Know that. Regarding your red van, Bob, do you already have something in mind or have you perhaps even started looking? Do you want to stick with the same brand or are you open to others if you find a good deal? So here's the thing. Know that. The red van is a Dodge Grand Caravan. The nice thing about Dodge Grand Caravans is all of the back seats, the seats behind the driver, they all fold flat into the floor. Other vans do have seats that fold, but they don't always go all the way into the floor. And sometimes the second row, you have to physically take the seats out. We have always really liked that aspect of the Dodge Caravan. It's called Stow and Go because we use the van to drive around with people, but also we need it for market. So we will most likely buy another Dodge Grand Caravan with Stow and Go seats. And I think there might be a Volkswagen van that does the same, but I'm not sure it's available in Canada. But we can't have seats that fold and still stick up a bit. Like honestly, if you ever go watch a video of Dodge Grand Caravan Stow and Go, the seats literally go flat into the floor and then the whole back is open. From Running Tiger, Brent says, I use Teachable, so expensive. Yes, there, a lot of the things that you used to be able to get online for a monthly fee for a few dollars are now many multiples of that. So when you're paying $30, $40, $50 a month, maybe $80 a month for Shopify, you have to think, oh, is this profitable? Mr. Fisheri says to Running Tiger, wow, where are you from? You must know about Western States Run and the UTMB. Yeah, I don't know a lot about these ultra marathons. So, Vadim, hello, Mr. Bob. Have you ever tried using ChatGPT's voice mode? Yes. Do you think that would be a good option if there aren't any other alternatives? Yes, I think AI is a great way to practice your conversation. I equate it to, though, you're still kind of playing solitaire. Like talking to people still has its own unique quirk. There's like quirkiness there. There's a sense of humor there. There's a lot more informal language. So I wouldn't say just use AI to improve your conversation, but I would say it's one good tool of many to help improve your conversation. I still believe that speaking to an actual person is better. Like if you had a choice and you could only do one, I would choose an actual person. But ChatGPT and other large language models do a very, very good job. Hafiaz, I'm scared it could be versus Paraguay. Nevertheless, I hope so. Yeah, we don't know. You don't know the outcome yet, do you? Okay, I can skip that one because I dealt with it. Cami says, most of the time, I still rely on my native language to learn new vocabulary. That's because I don't fully grasp the meanings of some words. So there's a couple things you can do there. If there's any way when you learn a new word that you can draw a picture of it, you should do that. If you learn the word microphone, you should not write the word microphone in your own language in your notes. You should write microphone in English and then draw a picture of a microphone. So that's number one. Number two, you need to use the word in sentences with other words you know well. Like I speak into a microphone. When Bob does a live stream, he talks into his microphone. When you do that, you are starting to connect the idea and the word to other ideas and words in your mind. So just think about those two things. There are many other techniques you can use, but I would say those are two good ones. Unsel, hi, Mr. Bob. I really admire how disciplined and productive you and Jen are. Does this amazing work ethic come from your upbringing or your educational background? Thanks. I think part of it is Jen and I are both children of immigrants. Well, not perfectly, but we are certainly grandchildren of immigrants. So my story is that my grandparents from my mom's side and my dad's side came to Canada with nothing. They literally came with a little bit of money, a whole bunch of children, and they had to work very hard to be able to buy a house, to live in Canada in a nice way. My parents were the children of immigrants. My parents both came as little kids from the Netherlands. And so I'm not that far away from, like, I can remember as a child times when we didn't really have, like, we had a nice life, but there were limits. Like if you had a slice of bread with meat, you had to put another slice of bread on it. I wasn't allowed to eat a single slice of bread with meat. That was considered a luxury, but I was allowed to put another slice on top. If I put too much meat on the bread, I could have one slice of luncheon meat. If I put two slices, my mom or dad would be like, hey, we can't afford that. So I think that's what has affected Jen and I. We're also both descended from people who immigrated from the Netherlands. And I think that in general, that country produces people who are pretty, think efficiently. I don't want to stereotype the entire country, but there certainly was a certain work ethic that I was expected to have as a kid of Dutch immigrants. Let's just say that. Okay. There was an expectation that you would work hard. Let's see here. Jorge says, "Hi Bob, love the lessons from Argentina." Good to hear that. Running Tiger says, "I now live in New Brunswick." Very cool. No, that says, "Did you know that the last games of the World Cup are taking place during what might be your birthday week, Bob?" Possibly my birthday week. Who knows? Or was it Bib's birthday week? I always get mixed up about that. Well, we do know that what clue could I give today? I'm the same age today as I was a week ago. That's all I'll tell you. That doesn't really help. Mode. Well, it might actually. I don't know. Mode. Nah, I don't think Paraguay stands a chance against France, Freddie. Although if Canada and France win today, they'll meet in the quarterfinals, and then Bob will have a similar dilemma to the one I had. Yes. Who will I cheer for? Or will I just be happy? Pedro says, France has 1 foot in the final. The players are very good. They are. That is true. From Abdillah, do you have a 1-to-1 online conversation program? I do not. I may someday start something like that when I am retired. So when I no longer teach at a school every day, I might attempt that. From Alexander, dear Bob, I've heard an interview of Ryan Reynolds, who grew up in Vancouver. Little fix there. But was claimed of the word about pronunciation during his appearance in Hollywood. Yeah, he probably has a much softer accent now. When I hear Ryan Reynolds talk, he sounds Canadian, but I think he's become much more neutral in how he talks. This is Lee. Dear Mr. Bob, I'm Lee from Vietnam. Why is it that I understand everything people say, but when I try to answer, I freeze up and can't get a single word out? I think we just had a very similar question. And the reason I gave was listening is a very passive, non-stressful activity. Here's me listening. Like you just allow the words to come. Speaking is a performance. It's similar to public speaking or being on a stage. It comes with stress and anxiety, and your thoughts can get mixed up. So the number one advice I give is you need to practice conversations in a safe environment with someone who is helping you become better at conversation. So go to Preply or find someone who you can have English conversations with, and that will help a lot. From Ayapan, hello Bob, could you please explain about the perfect tense? Example, I haven't had, it's confusing. I would need to do a full video on that, and I think I have done a full video on that. I haven't checked, but I would say I can't explain that in less than a minute. I would say to Fausto in the chat, Bob with 1 O is okay. As soon as you add more O's, it means something different. So I'm going to read it as Bob. Bob, I am on the bus hearing your tips. Thank you. You are welcome. But be very careful about the word Bob. As soon as you add another O, as soon as there are 2 O's or more, it means something else and is pronounced differently. Mode says, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, I saw him in the stands during Canada's first game and people were taking pictures with him. I wish I was there. He seems like a very cool person. I really appreciate him as an ambassador for our country. Julia, hi Bob, I'm inspired by your channel. Cool. Instead of I inspire your channel, why does it use the passive form? Can you give me more insight on it? Thanks. When you say I'm inspired, the only other way to say it is your channel inspires me. As soon as you switch the subject to I and the verb to inspire, you've now reversed the meaning. So you're inspired by my channel means my channel gives you energy and excitement for learning English. When you say I inspire your channel, it means that you're giving me energy, which is not what's happening. So just be careful about how you use the verb. Hopefully I explained that fairly well. From Eunice, Bob, I went to ask if I live in a little fix here, if I live in a non-English speaking country like Somalia, how to practice my speaking. So unfortunately, fortunately, you can practice your reading and your listening for free. You can practice your writing even for free. but it's very hard to practice your speaking for free. So one way to do it is to find someone who wants to learn your language, who also speaks English, and have a language exchange on FaceTime or Skype or Zoom or something like that. But the reality is, if you want to improve your English conversation, you will most likely need to pay someone to help you do that. Someone did mention earlier, you can use ChatGPT in voicemail or in voice mode. But yes, there is definitely, that's the tricky part, is how do you find that time and everything. Natalia Illusion is here. Hi, Natalia. Hi, everyone. I forced myself to send a question. I haven't done this for a long time. Yeah, long time no see. I actually know Natalia because 4 or 5 years ago, I did a giveaway for one-on-one English conversations with Bob, and Natalia came in second place. I believe Rod was in first place. So very cool. And actually the person who came in third place lives close to us now, and I've seen her at market every once in a while. Okay, let's see here. Oh yes, I should skip this. Thanks, Ismail. You are wonderful. That is awesome. I will take care of that later. From Eva. Hi, Bob. Can you say a few words about the recruitment process for high schools in Canada? So in Canada, students who are Canadian will most likely go to their local public school. They might go to their local Catholic school. We actually have public schools and religious schools, both funded by the government. Or they might choose to go to a private school. Only the private school will try to recruit students. The public schools and Catholic schools will do a little bit of advertising, but only the private schools will do that. If you're talking about how do they recruit students from other countries, for our school, we have an agent who acts on our behalf to find students from other countries who want to come and learn at our school. So hopefully I explained that somewhat clearly. Yeah, here. Hi, Bob. My English is perfect, but my speaking is terrible. Do you have any tips for improving my speaking? So number one, you can record yourself and listen to yourself. Number two, you can read out loud so that you're exercising the muscles of your mouth and throat and forming the words. Record yourself and listen back. You can, as you go through your day, describe out loud what you're doing, as long as other people aren't around. And then, you know what I'm going to say next. Hire an English tutor to help you with the conversation part, for sure. How can I improve my reading? So this is easier than improving your speaking. And there are a number of things that you can do. Number one, make sure you're reading at the right level. If you buy a children's book and you understand every single word, find something that has like 10 times as many words in it and read that. If you can understand everything, read a short novel written for kids who are 11 or 12 years old. If you understand all of that, start reading some young adult fiction. Find the right level. Number two, you can read things in your own language and then read them in English. A great way to do this is with the news. Read the news in your own language and then read the same news story in English. So read a news story about a recent World Cup game in French or Spanish or Chinese or Japanese, so you know who won the game, how the game went. Then find an identical news article in English and read that. I could go on and on, but there are many things you can do. John, are the schools closed in Canada right now for summer holidays? Yes, they are. And there might be some schools offering summer classes, but for the most part, schools are closed. Like 99% of students are not in school. From Unsel, how well do schools balance traditional teaching styles with the fresh, innovative ideas that new teachers bring to the classroom? Thanks. You're awesome. So it's very important for a school to do two things in order to make sure that innovative, fresh ideas happen. Number one, it's nice if a school has a natural turnover of teachers. If a school has 50 teachers, and 5 teachers retire every year and 5 new teachers are hired, you're automatically getting some of these new innovative ideas from the younger teachers. What you don't want is a school where all the teachers are old and no one retires, and you're never hiring someone new at the bottom. The second thing is it's very important for schools to send their teachers regularly for professional development or bring someone in to teach them new ideas. For me, I think I have 4 PD days a year, professional development days. I go to a teachers convention for 2 days, and there's 2 other conventions where I can go to see new technology and learn new ideas. So it's like any other industry. You have to continually, you hope for like a natural turnover of people, and you need to continually train your employees. From Pedro Bob, can you explain what take for granted means? Thanks. If I make, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example that's not from my real life, but it's when you do something and no one ever really thanks you for it and just kind of expects that you do it. So let's put it this way. During the school year, Jen usually cooks supper every night. During the summer, I usually cook supper every night because Jen's more busy than I am. And we do share it as well too. But if I never thanked Jen for doing that, I would be taking her for granted. If I was to regularly help my mom every week get groceries and my siblings never said, "Hey, thanks for doing that, Bob," I would feel like they're taking me for granted. I'm not being recognized for something that I'm doing. We should look this up. Meaning of being taken for granted and example sentence. Let's get it right. It says to undervalue or fail to appreciate someone because they assume, you just assume it'll always happen. He never thanked his wife for cooking and cleaning, and she felt like she was being taken for granted. Some people take for granted that they have clean drinking water that comes straight out of their tap. Yes, sometimes in developed countries we forget how some of our conveniences are very, very nice. Chris, can reading novels improve our ability to think fast in English? Possibly, but I would strongly recommend that you don't just read science fiction novels. Don't just read New York Times bestsellers. Make sure you're doing a variety of reading, even in areas where you don't necessarily enjoy it. But I think reading is a great way to build vocabulary and fluency, at least for understanding. From Ario, hello, Mr. Bob. How are you? I am a disabled person as well, by the way. I'm using my wheelchair daily. If I were in Toronto, Canada, how do I live there with my family? If you're talking about what we call accessibility, we have many laws governing how buildings are designed and built and sometimes retrofitted. That means they go to an old building and change it so that people have good accessibility. We want to make sure that we have ramps. We want to make sure that we have automatic doors. We want to make sure we have parking places close to buildings so that people who have disabilities, a variety of disabilities, can live their lives normally, where they don't have to worry, well, can my friends get in that building, but I can't. So that's what I would say. I don't think it's perfect. I think there are still groups advocating for better accessibility, but I think they're probably on the right track. From Utsel, do you like listening to international folk music to relax? What is one genre or regional sound from another culture that you find truly beautiful? Thanks, you're awesome. Bye. The only international music I listen to is any music in French. So I am not a connoisseur of music from a lot of other countries, but I do regularly listen to French music. If Big Flo and Ollie put out a new song, I do give it a listen to see if I like it. But that would be it. So sorry, I wish I had time to do more of that. From Natalia. Hi, Natalia. I found 3 words in an old book. Conceited, mercenary, someone who's interested only in money, and merchant. Are they used today? If so, can you pronounce them with examples? So if I got my hair cut every week, and if every hair had to be perfect, and if I got my eyebrows trimmed and my beard trimmed every 5 days, you might think I'm conceited. I'm overly concerned with how I look. If I think I'm the smartest person in the room all the time and I tell people, well, I'm smarter than you, they would say I'm conceited. So it's when you have it's when you think about yourself as being amazing compared to other people. A mercenary is usually someone who is paid money to fight. So a soldier is in the army for a specific country. A mercenary is someone who they'll just fight for another country if you pay them. That's usually the word. And then merchant is just someone who sells things. We use it more as a formal term, like, what could I say? Like there's a lot of merchants, or that you need a merchant's license. So it's like a formal word for store owner. I think you inadvertently saw one of my kids walk in there. That's rare. So if you're wondering, yes, I do have children. Yes, they are older. So, okay. Saba, has a target here. How can I reach an intermediate level of English in 5 months? Which skill, speaking, listening, or reading, should I prioritize, and which videos do you recommend? So here's what I would say. I don't know where you're at. I know where you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to level B1 or B2. So not knowing where you're at, I would say 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. And I would make sure you develop a learning plan where you're practicing your reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And the biggest thing I would say is this. Sometimes it's worth it to take an English test just to find out where you're at. So you're not taking the English test because you want to get a passing grade. Sometimes it's good to take an English test just so you know, okay, so I'm good at reading, I'm good at writing, I need to work on my speaking, and I'm good at listening. Like as an assessment tool, as a self-assessment tool, a test can be amazing. So number one, excuse me, take an English test. Maybe just do the Duolingo one. Pay to take an English test, find out where you're at, take that information to someone from a place like Preply. I know I mentioned them a lot, but I think they're great. And pay that English tutor to help you get to the intermediate level. Or, yeah, that's the advice I'm going to give. Alexander says, Dear Bob, do you know if any Francophone Canadians are in the Canadian football team? Will they, if any, understand secret talks among the French team? I'm sure some of our players speak French. I'm not sure which one. From Trung, how do I fix my accent? Thanks. So, first of all, in my opinion, accents are beautiful. But also, in my opinion, you do need to work at accent reduction so that you can be understood clearly. So an accent, there's kind of two parts to it, right? If an accent is very strong and you're having trouble making the sounds correctly, it can make it so people don't understand you. But if your accent has been reduced, if you found a coach to help you with accent reduction, and you still have a bit of an accent, but people can understand you, then it can be beautiful. So work on finding someone who specializes in accent reduction. That would be my number one piece of advice. Hey, it's 11:15. How did that happen? But you know what? I'm done all the questions. So I could wrap this up. Hey, if you're one of the 192 people watching, don't forget to click that red subscribe button there. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this live English lesson. I will be doing another one on the first Saturday in August, hopefully. And thanks for hanging out for about an hour and 12 minutes. Not too bad. I got through, let me see, how many questions did I do? Well, not too bad. 51 questions. So I was averaging about a minute, a little over a minute per question, probably. A few questions came from the chat as well. Know that says, thanks for the awesome Q&A session and for your time, Bob. It was super fun hanging around with you, as always. Oh, everything just moved up on me. I wish you and your family a marvelous weekend. Take good care of yourselves. You too. Mr. Fisheri says, nice one today. Freddie says, lunch is quite ready. Yes, I'm going to go because I'm not sure if you heard. I think I talked too long. But thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Tomorrow, a shorter version of this lesson will come out. And then, of course, Tuesday, there will be another actual lesson about describing clothing. So that should be fun. And then live lesson next Friday. Again, I'm not sure what the topic will be. Anyways, bye, everyone. You are awesome. Have a great weekend.